Yeah, I tried giving my dad edibles
Hmm.
and too much anxiety, gave him back. It's hereditary, man.
You know what? My mom is on anti-anxiety medication. Maybe that's the key to doing edibles.
That's genius. That's because I'll have no choice once I get older. The opioid epidemic is gonna, everybody ruins it for somebody. So all the addicts ruin it for the people who have pain and kind of regulate it and do it in an okay fashion. They're gonna ruin it for me. So then what do I got? I can't do edibles. So I gotta do heroin when I'm 60, I'm guessing, unless something changes.
Yeah, what's the methadone? They give you that if you're on heroin to try to wean you off of it. I
Yeah.
might do methadone. That's what I'm gonna do.
They'll have new creations and everything, and maybe some other weed strand that doesn't have anxiety, or do, like you just said, anti-anxiety and then edibles.
Like here's a thought experiment. I go in, I see a doctor, and I say, Doc, I think I need anxiety medication. Doc says, why? And I say, doing edibles gives me anxiety. How does that go?
I guess it depends on the doctor. He's going to say, can we stop doing edibles? And you just walk out.
I got to sell the doctor on why I need edibles. I may try this. I'll report back. This would be a customizable session in the next 6 months.
People are wondering. I was just saying, go on the podcast and just act like nothing happened. Like you leave home for 3 weeks, you come back, you're just like, hey. She's like, where have you been? I just got off work.
That's what my plan is.
That's what I was gonna. Some people just need a mental. No, actually, I got arrested. I was held captive in the Soviet Union, and I'm good now. Actually, they stopped my plane. I was flying over Belarus. They stopped it, and I was held captive there. Signed a confession, and now I'm back. Did you hear that
And
story?
how long did they make you sit in the stress position?
I gave up right away. I was like, all right, no need to play around. They wanted to try stuff on me. I was like, no, I already tap out. I'll tell you, you're the
Well,
greatest.
well, what are they trying to get out of you? Like, what information do you have? You're like, why are you torturing me? I don't know anything.
They obviously had the wrong guy. But
They
did you hear
probably
that
thought
story?
they thought you were the guy from Pornhub.
Johnny Sins?
Yes. They thought
Oh,
you were Johnny Sins.
they said, that's immoral. Al Qaeda got me, said, you got to quit making those videos. I'm like, no, it's not me. They're like, bring us Lisa Ann. And, but did you hear the story where the journalist, he's flying from one place to the other outside of Belarus. And once they got over Belarusian airspace, they stopped him. Like fighter jets intercepted him, had him land, and then that was their way of capturing him.
This is recently?
Yeah, this is like within the last,
Hmm.
2 month.
I thought you were going to go into an Andrei Arlovsky story.
Yeah, I wish. I don't even know Belarusian is used anymore. I don't even know. But speaking of edibles, let's go UFC 263. Did you watch?
It was watching the first 4.5 rounds of Edwards versus Diaz, the equivalent for you doing a intoxicating or a drug or buzz that makes you feel great. What would you say makes you feel better? The first 4.5 rounds of that fight, or some form of narcotic or alcohol?
It's was secretly hoping for a finish. So maybe the drug or alcohol. Actually, I don't know. Well, this doesn't happen as much. So maybe this. Let me read what I posted before the fight. This was to the group. Okay. I must admit I was wrong. I did not think Nate would fight Leon. It seems way too risky against a guy who is going to handle him. Leon is not a lightweight or a Pettis Masvidal at welterweight. I even think Leon may embarrass him. I get it though. If Nate doesn't get finished, Leon engages in the clinch and Nate has a quote unquote flurry at the end. He really just ran out of time and Leon is John Fitch. And that is basically exactly what happened, I think.
Pretty darn close, man.
I mean, I don't know if he embarrassed him, but he did handle him.
Because the thing is like, so I wrote this down. At one point, they were talking about gamesmanship, is what Nate was doing. And I said, is that gamesmanship or is that a new thing, clownsmanship? Because I thought some of the antics from Nate in like the middle rounds were a little cringe, embarrassing because he wasn't doing anything. Like Edwards, I mean, I know Nate landed punches, but until there was like he landed like one good punch in the round 3 and round 4. I actually wrote him down the exact, yeah. Yeah, so he had a couple clean shots, but other than those in the early rounds, he didn't do anything. And I was like, is this, and part of my thing with the Diaz brothers is that certain segments of the fans put them on this pedestal, like their greatness, and me just needing to be in the middle, I'm forced to tear them down more because they don't belong on a pedestal in terms of their fight ability. And I'm like, is this entertaining or is this a little cringy? And I'm like, but maybe I'm just biased against Nate.
It looked like a little I don't want to say desperation, but maybe a little bit of frustration, turning around and showing his butt to him or whatever he was doing. I don't know, flipping up his skirt.
Too much, man. It was too much.
I looked at I wasn't sure where he was mentally at. He's smoking weed in the presser and Leon's over on the other side. No one's asking him questions. And I'm just like, I can imagine where Leon's head is right now thinking, I'm going to bury this motherfucker out here, just smoking it up right in front of me. Everyone's cheering for him. I can't wait. I've been training my ass off. And I get it though. Nate's put in his time, but yeah, like frustration, couldn't do anything else. A lot of, I started thinking about when the fight was happening was, I get it. Nate counters people, but at the end of the fights, end of rounds, he's always coming forward and everyone else talks about how you're a pussy and you run away and you point. But I felt like Nate was running for 4 rounds in 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. He was trying to counter too, but he was evading more than he generally does.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing the downhill part of Nate's career. He held out that long. I think if he would have put on the gas, it could have finished himself. He's too small for that weight class. I was saying Leon Edwards is going to be a big ass Benson Henderson here. Leon doesn't attempt to wrestle as much, but he sure as hell handled the clinch where he wanted to and the ground.
Yeah. So two things stood out to me is, and I think you were saying this before the fight, is because we broke down this card, I feel like a month ago. So luckily for us, we broke down this card before our impromptu sabbatical. But Leon, he's too sound and measured in his in-fight approach to put himself in harm's way frequently. And I feel like Nate's clowning, that's what he's trying to draw out, is so he can then expose some kind of lowering of your guard due to his clowning. But Leon never did any of that.
Plus, Leon is aware of, to have that body on him, the gas tank will eventually empty. And I think he realizes, oh, I can only push too hard because round 5. So he knows how to pull back, unlike Connor. Man.
Right.
But I did hold my breath for a whole minute and 3 seconds. And I'll give props to Nate, man. I didn't think he'd come out with it, and he landed a good shot. Nate is good at extending it like a long punch forward, a little bit like Gastelum is. But I was looking back and I was thinking, who knows? Maybe this is even good for Leon because he hasn't lost in however many years, like 2014 or 15 to Kamaru. Maybe this makes him not too confident and maybe keeps that little bit of insecurity that can maybe help you out in the long run because he's winning a little too convincingly and just being able to put fights where he wants them. So I think this might actually be good for him.
You had mentioned earlier about you think, Nate didn't go balls out because he would tire himself out. And I wrote this down 2 different times. And I said, we got to stop with the lies that Nate has this unbelievable endurance in there. Doesn't get tired. Because 2 times in the fight, he had Leon up against the cage. He came in with the combo, landed a good shot, and he immediately clinched him.
Yes, and Leon is not. That's true. And Leon is not a lightweight, so he just eventually turned him.
Right. Leon pretty much dominated every grappling exchange, whether on the feet or on the ground.
I'll give it to Nate for taking this fight, man. Performance bonus to him. I did not think he would. I truly did not think it would happen, but I'm like, maybe he needs some money or whatever. He hasn't fought since 2019. But he's like, oh, you make this much money, you don't need money. Fuck that. Everybody does. Whatever you make, your mortgage goes up to a certain percentage of it generally. But Leon's a pro. No weaknesses, patient, composed, and he takes this path of least resistance to win. And that is a risk you take versus the amount of excitement you can have in the fight. And it's funny I mentioned John Fitch because if you fight like that, you can't lose too many because you get the boot. And I was trying to like, watch the fight, see what's going on. I think he's giving guys problems with his timing. He's not too predictable. And he keeps it simple, but then he has these weird, unpredictable moments, like 2 spinning elbows. And then he had those 2 step-in trips when Diaz tried to really give that high leg kick check. And here's something. How about Diaz outlanding Leon in every round?
Yeah, I noticed that.
It just shows you, like, you take stats with however you want to take them. It's not all or nothing. Nobody would think Diaz won that fight.
Yeah, that was a little surprising to me. I would have given Nate a 10-8 round in round 5. I know it wasn't 4 rounds of domination, but that was the closest either person came to finishing the fight. And that was easily the most dominant period of time at any point in the entire fight. So I was a little shocked when I heard 49-46 across all 3 judges' scorecards.
I was too. I was expecting to hear a little bit of variation. Would you or Brother Mark like to give Leon a bonus for good old-fashioned leg kicks?
You know what? Yes. I'm going to speak for Brother Mark here and give Leon that bonus on behalf of Brother Mark.
And I remember Brother Mark saying, what happened to good old-fashioned leg kicks, Leon? I sent Leon a text, and he's like, all right, I'll throw some for him.
The thing is, you ever, so quick story here. I worked at a small gym in New Jersey, and one of the employees pulled me in. He's like, hey, notice anything? And I made like 7 guesses, and I was wrong. And what it was is he had covered up a hole in the wall. Okay. So because that wall didn't belong there, I didn't notice it was gone once it was gone. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So because Leon Edwards threw normal leg kicks, they didn't register on my brain.
Okay.
I only register what doesn't belong, and those are the calf kicks.
Okay.
I hope that makes sense.
It does. Everyone gets a walkout song. Nate Diaz gets 4. DMX, Lil Wayne, and 2 Tupac songs. One of them, bonus to Diaz, Can't See Me, Tupac on All Eyes on Me. Like that song. So I was like, all right.
Wait, so he had Tupac, Lil Wayne, and DMX?
Yeah, 2 Tupac songs. There were 4 songs for his entrance.
There's almost like bonus Lil Wayne for being the one guy who is alive.
Yeah. All right.
He's a living legend.
Dane on the post-fight presser. Colby is the number 1 contender. So Leon could have came in there and maybe finished Diaz. He'd get the number 1 spot. So it looks like they're going to try to make Colby and Kamaru. And then, I mean, is that Leon versus Masvidal? Leon versus Thompson?
Leon Thompson, please God, no.
Come on, Leon Masvidal.
We need Leon Masvidal.
And I love Thompson.
Should never fight Stephen Thompson under any circumstances, no matter what, for the rest of our lives. Nobody wants to see that. People do, but they don't know what they're getting into. Trust me.
I mean, this is their opportunity.
Like dating a stripper.
Don't drop the ball. Masvidal's coming off those 2 losses. I know it's to Usman or whatever, but here it is. 3-piece in the soda. This is probably one of your last opportunities where they are still, whatever, close to their primes or whatnot. Make it happen, man. And then replay the shit out of that. Talk about it. Make all these different jokes, all these different memes fly around. Don't drop the ball here.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't see a lot of the post-fight stuff, but this kind of feels like instead of, he didn't get the victory, obviously, but for Nate, one of the best ways for it to play out. He has a guy who wouldn't really fight him in there, and had he had more time, he was going to finish him. Is that the narrative out there?
I don't know. I've been, I needed a mental reset because I come in there and I'm not feeling my best. And all I fucking see is Jake Paul, Logan Paul, and Hasbulla, the 3-foot Dagestani guys. Well, props to all these people, but this is all I'm surrounded by, this fucking circus. And then Tyron Woodley's fighting Jake Paul. And I just said, all right, I'm going up north.
Well, I'm confused here because there's like a Middle East turmoil.
That's Hezbollah. That's Hezbollah. That's in Lebanon. Then there's Hasbulla, who's the Dagestani guy.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, what? Like, what is? Are they over there like on a missionary trip or something? Like the Paul brothers? And I know you're into the war, into the war scene. So thank you for clarifying for me. So Hezbollah is Lebanon, and what's the other one? Hezbollah.
I mean, I'm probably butchering it. I apologize to our Dagestani listeners.
Okay.
To our Caucasus region. Look at that. We opened the show with Leon. Well, we opened the show with Edibles, and then Leon and Nate. Look, they're the stars. Let's go to the main event. Adesanya, Vettori 2. Let's hear. What do you want to say about this fight?
Well, this fight has my not the sweet technique.
Oh, interesting.
Can you guess what it is?
I mean, would it be for Vettori? So my problem. So I'm just thinking what I think it probably went to the loser. Vettori, my biggest issue was Vettori was he needed to quit headhunting, maybe go to the body. Adesanya has this great head movement, maybe mix in wrestling a little bit more, and he's not quick enough on his feet. So I'm going to say Vettori for headhunting.
Okay. Correct with Vettori, but different thing. So I'm going to compare. So I actually have I have two sweet techniques on the card. Okay. And so my not the sweet technique in this fight is Vettori not locking up the body while trying to lock in the rear naked choke. And if you compare to Brandon Moreno, he took his time, he locked in the body triangle, and that allowed him to spend a longer duration on the rear naked choke. But like you can see Vittori's legs literally come apart during the rear naked choke attempt. And that was the perfect moment for Adesanya to twist and, reverse the position. So Vettori had that fucker locked up, man. I'm actually glad he didn't get it because Adesanya schooled him
Okay.
during the entire fight, and it would have felt like the better man didn't win. So I'm glad Adesanya won, but Vettori had that fucker locked up, man. And if he had just secured the body with his legs, he'd be the champion right now, I believe.
Okay. I can live with that. I like that one. I've broken down Adesanya in previous events. I like his fighting, whether you like his personality or not. I can separate that from his fighting. And I basically just have two things for him. He is always well planted. When they say flat feet, don't fight with flat feet. He's got flat feet, but I guess it's just whatever situation it involves. And then he's just this smooth unpredictability.
Yeah. So he throws punches and like his torso is, angled to a 45 in one direction. But he's not off balance there, is what you're saying, like in those positions.
He's got that limbo, PTSD from the Whitaker fight. My pet peeve.
Background.
What's that?
I think it's his dancing background, his street dancing background.
Shit. It probably could help. Probably helps a little bit. Eddie Bravo always talks about how breakdancers do well in jiu-jitsu.
He does?
My pet peeves, there's about 50 of them, but one of them is when corners aren't calm at the beginning of the rest interval. Especially if a guy has just exerted a bunch of energy at the end of the round. And I noticed that in Vettori's corner, and I know who am I to criticize Rafael Cordero. I don't even think it was Cordero. I think it was at the end of the first round. So it wasn't like trying to give him urgency, but I think you got to let the guy chill out and try to relax and maybe lower his heart rate or whatever. You can't come in with this high pace energy and talk frequency. I think it was the other guy. I think it was some Italian guy or whatever, but I could be wrong, but I just don't like it.
I think it was Sylvester Stallone.
Turns me off.
I think it was Sly Stallone in there.
I wish.
I don't know if this is the name for it, but Paul's rule came into play in this fight. That's what I call it. I probably have the name wrong, but it's one of your rules that you would do if you were competing. You would commit each foul one time to avoid losing a point, but you get the extra foul committed in there.
Let's call that Bernard Hopkins rule.
Okay.
I don't know if I could bring myself to do that, but Bernard Hopkins did, and he was good at it.
Okay. Bernard Hopkins rule.
And that's what Adesanya did when he just front kicked him in the balls and then poked his eye.
It's genius. And I'm not saying he did it on purpose or anything, but it's like, how many fouls can you inadvertently commit without losing a point?
All of them.
And then during the eye poke, it's like, everyone's like, oh, he's not blinking. He maybe didn't poke him. On the replay, it's like, holy shit, man, it went right into his eye. But it seemed like even the referee rushed Vettori along, tried to get him back in there.
Oh, like, that's one of your pet peeves, isn't it?
Yes. What, you got to fall to the ground and writhe in pain to get the full 5 minutes?
Yeah, you hate when the referee pushes you along.
It's ridiculous. There,
Yeah,
there were there were a couple swings in this fight. I thought in round one, Vettori should have just held Adesanya down and not try passing guard. Guys, they're both dry. The fight just started. There's more friction. There's more chances for leverage. Just lay on Adesanya and have a boring ass round one. Try to get a point and try to, because
so
we discussed this a lot, but especially in grappling, but it occurs in all aspects of fighting. But if you're inefficiently trying to do things, you're going to expend more energy than someone who's doing like a move, like a sweep or like a reversal or trying to, gain position. If you're not, like, the less time you have practicing those positions, the more doing them is going to exert you and tire you down. So I'm like, listen, just land them for 5 minutes. And I thought that would have had a greater effect on Adesanya's performance moving forward. Like, will he be more hesitant with the leg kick or with the body kick because he just spent 4 minutes on the back? So
true.
there were a number of like potential swings in this fight that could have completely changed how the fight played out. That's one of them that I saw.
So do you want to give a bonus to Jan? Is what you're saying? Because that's what
Am
he.
I a Jan Dick Rider now?
No, not a dick rider. I mean, that's exactly what he did, and it was smart. It won him the fight.
I'll tell you though, watching this fight, it makes me appreciate Jan's striking to a higher degree. He didn't get schooled on the feet versus Adesanya. He might have won those exchanges actually.
Where did I thought, let's see if I have. I wrote something about them. Or was it here? I thought Adesanya has a y'all must have forgot moment with his striking skills. Jan is extremely unique in technique and timing with great patience. And that's what I think. Like, Jan is weird, man. He is just tough to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And almost if you fight against him, you can't even compare what's going to happen in subsequent fights. Adesanya versus Whitaker is what it looks like. I'm terrified for Whitaker, as I am with most of his fights. But even though Adesanya had this nice outing, he doesn't look as untouchable. He came off that with Whitaker where he knocks him out, and then he just has Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa is a different human being right now. I don't know what's going on with him, but that was like utter domination. This, he handled Vettori, but he didn't look like he was completely untouchable to me. So it gives me 5% more hope with Whitaker.
Agree. Because even in round 4, Vettori got him down again. And then actually, I'm giving Adesanya a sweet technique for his reversal.
Okay.
Like, he exploded out of there, man. It was almost like there was like a fight or flight component, like adrenaline, like, man, I got to get out of this position and do it right now or I'm in trouble.
And that was in round 4, right?
Yes.
So he had those issues. So he learned from his previous fights with Jan how he didn't get out of those positions. And I hope we remember it once he fights Whitaker and doesn't get out of those positions when Whitaker implements his wrestling later on in the fight.
You know what? You'll help us remember this.
I will. Whitaker is grappling.
You know what I thought of?
Difference, please.
I thought of 2 people in round 1 when Adesanya got up from the takedown.
Ariana Celeste and
that's a better guess. I didn't
Rachel
want to
Ostovich.
I didn't want to finish my answer anymore. No, I thought of you and Derek Lewis. Because he seemed to just apply the just get up technique that Derek Lewis has mastered in heavyweight.
It works sometimes. It works.
It really does, man. Sometimes, and just be an athlete.
Yeah. And I like this fight a little bit better now because I was those 2 fights with Yoel and Whitaker going in to fight Adesanya and all of his other problem, but those 2 5-round fights with Yoel are just different. That's why I'm pretty sure we even gave Adesanya the sweet technique for not fighting Yoel and winning, because it would just take something away from you. But
Yes,
now we have we have a 5-round fight with Jan and a 5-round fight with Vettori. So I think it hardens you, but I think it also can take something from you. So I like that we're on a little bit more even playing field now. You're not as fresh. You're fighting guys who are coming at that ass and training their ass off, where it just, your joints, your psychological aspect, it starts wearing.
I mean, Whitaker had to fight. He fought Yoel twice in a row before. That's like double postcoital. Or it's not. Maybe it's a different variation, but like the guys who get into these fights with Yoel don't come back from it. And he came back from it and beat Yoel, but he got injured. He got injured both times. I think Whitaker did.
He's injured a lot.
Yeah. So no, he got injured the first time. Wait, hang on, I'm on the wrong guy here. What the fuck is Whitaker? I don't know. Oh, here he is.
The fight we should have started with that probably deserves some of the most respect is,
bro. Hey, let me finish. He fought Yoel, then he fought Yoel again 11 months later. So then, after fighting Yoel the second time, he didn't fight again for 16 months.
He had all those issues, yeah.
Yoel was the genesis of all those issues.
And that's when Yoel and Rockhold fought for the interim, and Yoel missed weight for that and knocked out Rockhold in the 3rd round. Perfect Yoel story right there. That's a fairy tale. I'm going to read my kids that to bed. I'm going to have a book, and they're going to be like, oh, I can't wait to, if you give a mouse a muffin or whatever. And I'm like, yeah. And then I'm just going to tell the Yoel story. They don't even see it coming tonight.
We should write a children's book about that experience.
Different MMA ones.
The best part is it can be like 6 pages. Like children's books, how long do they last? It's like 1 sentence per page.
Yeah, it just depends on the level. If you give Yoel a 3rd round.
About as long as Michael Chandler's book is, actually.
Nice.
Although I'm it's 14 days, so it's 14 pages. And what did I buy it 6 weeks ago? I'm on day 4, and the first 3 days are pretty solid. But I'm more like I read 1 day, and then I set it where it's sitting, and then I read the day again. So I've probably read his book 12 times, but only 3 pages worth.
Okay.
I'm enjoying it, though. I like Michael Chandler more now.
All right. Figueiredo versus Moreno 2. I was watching the ceremonial weigh-in, the fancy one where Rogan's announcing and everything. I watched Davison. I didn't see the earlier weigh-in yet. So I watch him. He weighs in. He's flexing. He goes over to Moreno. And you know me, I don't draw too many conclusions, or I try not to, or you're careful with it. But I looked over to her and I said, I do not like how Davison looks right now. He must have had a terrible weight cut or something. And then I go to watch the weight cut, and I find out he made it with 1 minute to spare.
So,
right then and there, I said, this fight has changed. I started kind of leaning towards Moreno there.
So it's funny today because I didn't see either of those things this time. And early in the fight, I said, I'm like, I just wonder if the repeated weight cuts are taking a toll on him.
Those 2 in a row, those 2 numbered events, which made him our fighter of the year, ended up costing him this time.
That's why I give him, for this fight, my not the sweet technique
And what
is
is it?
his lack of output.
Oh,
And maybe that was a defense mechanism.
so
Because
the not so sweet technique, Figueiredo making weight with 1 minute left. You
there you
can't,
go.
which made, I think, led to the lack of output or whatever it was going on there. But you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You want to be that big? And maybe he didn't, maybe there was something with discipline. Maybe it was his body not reacting properly. I don't know. But if you're in a title fight, you those 2 hours or whatever start to matter. And you can't come in with 1 minute to spare in a title fight
Yes.
and against a guy like maybe if you just whip people's asses, but Brandon Moreno is badass.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm giving Marino a bonus and sweet technique for this fight.
What's his sweet technique? Locking up the body?
Yes.
Okay.
And his bonus is for getting a finish when we have 3 5-round fights on the card. And you feel pretty confident 2 are going 5 rounds. And one had already gone 5 rounds when this fight took place. So I was like, and I'm watching it Sunday. It's getting late into the day. I'm like, man, I got to get my day going here. Like, come on. And then, he locks up the submission. And also during the submission, he has the good body triangle. He kind of locks it up initially. Fig does a great job fighting the hands and turning the chin and gets out of it. And then he used the punches to kind of soften him up and then find that second opening to slide that submission in. And even in that one, Figueiredo, he's fighting the hands a little bit, but Moreno, he's just too deep. And I think,
Yes.
he's applying the blood choke, even though Figueiredo's pulling the hand off a little bit. And eventually it was just too much.
That's what he did. He was able to pull off, defend it the first time. And then it's that classic, you go slow and then you fire in that choke. That's what those guys who can sink it are good at. You just can't get it right away. Sometimes, especially if the guy's not giving up. Some guys just give up and you can slow that choke. But there's other times once they're ready and defending it, you have to throw in something like you said, the punches, and then boom. He did it. He did it beautifully.
It was beautiful.
And
like the Moreno rags to riches story. It's like we're seeing this repeatedly occur now in the UFC. Wasn't he the last pick on Tough and had to fight Pantoja, the number 1 pick in the very first fight?
1 second. So what I think started that rear naked choke was actually this overhand right. And I think it wobbled Davison. You try to watch the replay and it's hard to see because of the angle, but it looks like he cracks him on this overhand right. But now back to what you're saying, he ended up, well, yeah, you say the from the Ultimate Fighter or whatnot. I can't remember what he was picked, but
I think he was the last pick.
Moreno fought an LFA fight in 2019. He fights there. He got cut by the UFC, and just think, opportunity. Brandon Royval, the fight I was so excited for. That fight was going to be absolutely insanity. And for the short amount of time it was, but Royval dislocates his shoulder during the fight. And then Gobi pulls out of his fight with Davison. Not saying he wouldn't have beat Royval, but at least it went his way. And then the pullout has an unbelievable draw. If he wouldn't have got the draw, would they have fought again? I'm not sure. Maybe they would have, but he was able to get that draw and then bam.
Yeah.
So, opportunity, man. Or like you say, like rags to riches. It's just crazy. Gives me hope.
Because he had the LFA. I forgot about that. But did he come in then on short notice to earn back his UFC contract in a sense?
I don't know. Or did he come in short notice? And I think he came in short notice versus Davison. Hey, look at short notice for Askarov. Look at Askarov right now.
He fought Royval, then fought Davison 3 weeks later or some shit during their
Yeah.
first fight.
And you got to come back and fight Askarov to a draw. That thing's looking better and better each day.
That's probably the next contender. Him or probably is.
You think so?
All of his fucking wins look amazing when you look back at him. Even Kai Kara France, he came in with some hype and he stumbled a little bit in the game, but then he's a high level guy.
Oh, he's changed. I went up to a fanboy for him after his last fight. He says, I can't be called Don't Blink if I don't have any finishes. I said, I love you for saying that.
I even think Moreno's very first UFC fight versus Louis Smoka was a short notice fight. He fought that fight while Tough was still airing on TV. They haven't even.
How do you even remember that?
I don't know why I remember this, but they did not declare a Tough winner for that season, and Moreno came in on short notice and beat Louis Smoka in his UFC debut.
Wow.
After losing to Pantoja in the first round of Tough.
So we all love Brandon Moreno is what we're saying.
Just him, you got the Jan Rags the Riches story. He's fighting Glover Teixeira. Isn't there one more in the UFC right now?
Connor? All right. All of these guys.
Aljamain Sterling. But he's not really a true Rags of Riches. But Charles Oliveira.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Come on. Right now UFC gives me the feel goods, man. Rose Namajunas came back with her, her shit going on. Ngannou fucking gets his title shot. How many did he have to win in a row before the rematch for Stipe? He had to decapitate like 5 people, man, in the first round to get his rematch finally.
Yes, that's true.
It's like, I don't know, it's a feel good time for UFC champions. For some of them. Anyway.
Man. All of these guys speak English, but I personally need a translator for Paul Craig, Nate Diaz, and Stipe Miocic.
Bro, 100, man. Paul Craig speaks. I want to tear off my shirt and go into war. I don't know if it's like the Braveheart accent or something, but I want to go out there and fight for all the Scots and fucking go to war, man, when that guy speaks.
I love his accent. I love it. And Paul Felder can be his translator because he comes in, he says, oh, what he just said was, if you weren't fans of me while walking in, please be fans of me when walking out, or something to that effect. I was like, thank you, Paul. Like, good, they brought him in there. He should be the Scottish translator.
They call horse racing, like, is it the most exciting 3 minutes in sports or some shit?
Yeah, something to that.
Some
effect.
nickname like that. That was a hell of a 2 minutes.
What'd you think about the stoppage?
In that fight?
While it was going on.
I didn't think it was like some super late stoppage, like people were saying after it occurred.
Did you think his arm was broke?
I wasn't 100% certain, but I thought something was wrong with it.
It was hard to tell because Rogan didn't even know it was out. They're talking about it. Felder maybe a little bit later. What happens is these replays, these guys start talking and then you start having these narratives. And the referee is the easiest guy. Of course, this is going to be an episode where I defend a referee, but it's just, they're the easiest whipping boy. It's just like, and whenever you're pissed, just think fucking ref and just start unloading on any ref. And everyone's going to be like, yeah, fuck those refs, except maybe people who ref. But Rogan didn't even know it was. And it's difficult to tell an arm breaking. Well, first of all, it's dislocated, but what's the difference?
What is the difference?
an arm breaking versus an arm being turned. Dislocation is from the joint. An
Oh
arm,
yeah, bone broken, just the bone snapped.
yes, or some kind of fracture or whatever.
Chris
But
Weidman, that was a broken bone, correct?
yes, correct.
Okay.
That was
I'm
not a
I'm
dislocated.
not being serious.
But it's
You sure?
difficult
Sorry, I
sometimes to tell
apologize.
an arm breaking versus an arm turning,
Mhm.
especially when you're getting out of those submissions.
And
So it's
some
hard.
guys are like double jointed. Like you've seen arms turn in weird
But
ways, and they say they're not broken.
that's true. But we got to clarify that there's no such thing as double jointed. They're just very flexible.
Okay.
Just so that the fans know.
But that's what they call it, right? That's
Yeah,
like the terminology for it.
super flexible. Yeah, I'm double jointed, and just that's why you turn your hand a certain way so the arm can bend. You can't get the leverage on there for the elbow. You say the ref's an idiot. Well, the ref is a BJJ black belt too.
Who was
So
the ref in that fight?
I don't know his name, but they talked about it. I should say the people in the press conference, the reporters said that he was a BJJ black belt. So I should have said it's me finding out that information. But that doesn't mean it's good or bad. I'm just saying when people say, you got to have someone who's fought, you got to have someone who's done this, it doesn't matter whatever the narrative is, you're going to blame the ref. So maybe we need to come up with something new when you run out of stuff. Was it bad? Could it have been bad? Yes, but I think that narrative is pushed on the replays, and it will generally, it starts just because people hate refs, but sometimes it's pushed more from the broadcasters. But they were seeing it as the fight was going on.
Well, let me just, the narrative won't change as people love narratives.
Wait, say that again?
Political parties push the same narrative for fucking 40 years.
Thousands. I'm convinced shit has been going on since the cavemen. Thousands.
You know, I like thousands better. I'm 40 years old though, so maybe that's why I landed on that number. But yeah. These narratives, man, have a way of, they're like cockroaches and they just keep on, they'll survive a fucking nuclear holocaust. So that reminds me, the one thing I did understand that Paul Craig said is when he said it was flopping around him like a dead fish.
That makes me think more of maybe the ref did something wrong, but I got to look at the angle, what the ref is doing there. Here's how we clear it up though. Just have the ref explain himself in a 1-minute clip. Because you always side on incompetence, just like the judges. This can be easily cleared up.
Mm-hmm.
Let him defend inside of the story. That's what happens in a court of law. You don't just hear one side.
Yeah, and there's been times where we have heard explanations, and it always is like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe it's something I didn't notice. And I'm not saying that this wasn't necessarily a bad stoppage. I'm just saying while the fight was going on, the broadcasters weren't pushing that. And guess what? That's what the referee is there too.
Mm-hmm.
In the same position. He can't look at the replay and be like, oh yeah, stop the fight. It reminded me of, I had flashbacks of Frank Mir versus Pete Williams. He got him in that like inside shoulder lock off of that over that overhook. And usually if you can get it in jiu-jitsu, you can get that overhook. You got to time them pulling that arm out and then you get it right on that joint and twist it in. Jamel Hill, Frank's guy right here, Frank's girl too. I wonder which Jamel Frank likes more, Jamel Hill or Jamel Hill. I'll leave it at that. Hey, did he handle it? He handled it well, like Jacare, huh?
I'm like, how do I answer this? Jamel Hill?
He was just chilling there. He was respectful. He talked to him post fight. I like Jamel here. Jamel Hill.
Yeah, I thought he acquitted himself really well. And it almost, my impression was like, in his eyes, he was looking at Craig and just thinking like, you motherfucker. I don't know why. That's just what I felt on my bones. Like he's thinking something like that. Like, you motherfucker.
But thank God it wasn't Paul Craig breaking it as the ref was trying to stop it. it was because he wouldn't, give in.
Yeah.
Paul Craig has turned into a hell of a fighter. I don't think I give him enough credit. And he's on what, a 3-fight win streak, 4-0-1 in his last 5. He's Ankalaev's one and only loss. And it's funny, he's only a BJJ brown belt.
Mm-hmm. Nice little Ankalaev appreciation segment there.
Hey, so my what was your sweet technique?
I had 2 of them. It was Adesanya's reversal in round 4. And then it was Moreno locking up the body before getting, and then the whole submission sequence, really.
I like those. Well, here's the other sweet technique. Paul Craig pulling guard.
Yeah.
Your game is the ground. You saw Jamel Hills striking against OSP. It's in the get this party started, the main card opener. I hold it a little like special. I'm a little biased to this spot. He gets a performance bonus and he makes this light heavyweight push, but pull guard, try it out. And guess what? It worked. He's badass, has a bunch of submissions. He's a nightmare to grapple with. He's starting to become this all-time kind of grappler, kind of how Oliveira came about, but he doesn't have, like I said, he's only this brown belt. He's kind of sneaking up on us, and he can make this light heavyweight push where we might be kind of still looking for guys and fighters because of the John Jones vacuum.
Yeah, man. And every one of his UFC wins, there's a submission component to it.
I love it. And this one wasn't a submission. It probably should be, but I get it.
Performance bonus to you, by the way.
Why?
For going to this fight before the other fight on the main card.
Well, this fight was a great fight to start the card, and then Bilal versus Maia happens. And yeah, it's back.
You know what I realized? Are you going to that fight now? You know what I realized about that fight? The most appeasing, unsatisfying, the thing I dislike viewing the most is a grappling specialist, quote unquote, repeatedly attempting takedowns and coming up short and trying very little else between takedown attempts. Everything they do between an attempt is playing a possum to set up the next attempt. And it's just, I'm so glad Muhammad won the rounds where he was trying takedowns and going for takedown attempts and failing. I see the person fighting them off as the winner of that exchange.
Okay.
So performance bonus, the judges for giving Muhammad the fight. 100% deserve to win that fight.
Look at, hey, I'll defend the refs. You defend the judges. Hey, and why didn't Maia pull guard?
What's that?
Why didn't Maia pull guard? Fuck, do a little leg lock. Try something, man. Get him, reverse him. Used to be the master of reversals.
Demian Maia hasn't had an exciting fight since Chael Sonnen.
Which leads me to...
maybe Gunnar Nelson, but still.
That was a good fight. Which leads me to when I knew this fight was over. Do you know when I knew this fight was over? Where would you guess?
Oh, man. This is a good one. That's some kind of funny moment.
Come on, man.
When you saw Demian Maia's age, fuck, man. I don't know. Tell me.
It's right before the fight. You have both of them talking, and Demian Maia says, quote, "I feel better mentally and physically than I was when I was 23. And that's when I knew the fight was over.
Yeah, but that's because your fucking brain is going. You're punch drunk, bro. Just because you feel better don't mean you are better.
I hate that he said that because I love him. And I hate not seeing him do well or go for those missed takedowns because I love him and I don't want my thoughts of him to be tainted. They probably won't anyway.
Well, I would cut him.
You wouldn't have him fight. He made a plea to fight Nate Diaz for his last fight
Why would Nate Diaz fight this guy though?
to get a win. I'm not saying he's going to win. I don't know what's going to happen in this fight. Hey,
what's one of the
Nate is not going to defend a takedown, will he?
Here, have them fight in the next Eddie Bravo Invitational.
Hey, will Nate defend a takedown? Hell no, he welcomes that. Let me get you in my guard. I want to grapple. Here you go.
So I was gonna say, like, if it's not cutting Maya, have him. I don't know what to do with him because he fights a grappler, and it's a fucking like. I think he fought a grappler recently. It was like a fucking 3-round slugfest.
Probably Gilbert Burns, but Gilbert Burns got him with the hook.
But it's like, it's like a sloppy slugfest. It's not the most.
All right. What about Maya versus Ryan Hall?
I would watch that.
They need to have like a little.
Ryan Hall won't try to strike with you.
Hall goes for that fucking Imanari role, man. If they should make a separate little grapplers tournament just for fun.
You got one guy diving at ankles, the other guy failing in takedown attempts.
But perfect. You just got to put them with the right opponent.
And listen, I have a rule. I have a suggestion for a rule change here.
All right.
And maybe it's just in Demi and Maya fights. No more than 5 takedown attempts in a round.
5?
Maybe it's 4. Maybe it's less.
Say how many takedown attempts did he have? Damn.
He went 1 for 21.
And how many each round? Do you know?
I will in a second. I can't watch somebody go 1 for 21 in takedown attempts again.
Maybe
he tried 11 in round 1.
How about this? If you have 10 failed takedowns attempts in a round, you get a 10-8 round against you.
I agree.
Or if you have collectively in a 3-round fight, 20 failed takedown attempts, we're taking a point.
I love those rules, but I might say 7. If you have 7 failed attempts without securing 2 and you're 1 for 7, you're 1 for 8. That's like 12.5% success rate.
Okay. This is a good start.
That's pretty bad, man.
We'll let it simmer for a minute. We'll sleep on it.
This fight made me not want to watch the rest of the event.
The fight did slow me down, and then it was like Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. I was like, all right.
Yeah, I came back. Don't get me wrong. I came back. But it was like, all right, let me just go foam roll or do some sit-ups or something.
How about that Bilal doesn't get a post-fight interview? Was it because of the fight or because of Palestine? Like, meaning he would talk about Palestine.
Dude. There have been a lot of like geopolitical or war type post-game interviews lately. And here's the thing. People are there to have a good time. And I know war talk excites you, but probably for the masses, they don't want to hear it there.
It's true. And
that's
I don't want
to cherry on top for me.
Yeah, I'm mixed because it depends on what the person says. And there's a lot of times they think they're smarter than what they actually are, but I don't always want to hear it. But then at the same time, I sometimes do. Like when he won, I was like that Jack Nicholson meme, nodding like, yes, yes. And then he just didn't get it. And I'm like, wow, was that because of the fight or because he might? And here's where I feel actually bad for him, because he probably feels pressure that he has to say something. His family is from Palestine and stuff. What if he just wants to fight and maybe doesn't want that issue to overshadow a win that he just got after he just had that eye poke and everything?
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel bad for these people who feel pressure to mention these political issues when they don't want to.
It reminds me of the Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, and his famous quote,
Yeah,
Republicans buy sneakers too.
that's funny. Maybe he just, just doesn't want to get involved. Just
What if he just like, listen, I'm from Chicago. I'm a Midwesterner. I got nothing to say about this. I'm from Chicago.
Everybody's motivations are different. Their timings are different. Sometimes I feel passionate about something. Other times I'm like, I need to get away from it. Just depends. You can't pressure people into that. But are there more logos in the octagon, or is it just me? I feel like it's a damn NASCAR thing going on right now.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Like, settle down a little bit, okay? I get it. You make money. Make the other ones bigger than more of them, okay? Charge them for extra size.
So real quick, this fight reminds me why I haven't watched a Demi and Maya fight since he fought Usman. Him versus Woodley, him versus Covington, him versus Usman was too much for me to handle. I have like Demi and Maya PTSD, and
three of the exact same guys.
I almost skipped this fight too. I'm like, do I skip it? But Bilal's kind of coming up, and I'm like, I feel like I gotta watch that because he's kind of coming up a little bit, and he's kind of fighting his way to that top 10. So I felt compelled to watch it, and I'm not glad I did, but I think I deserve a bonus for getting through this fight.
Or your deduction for you choosing to watch it.
You're right. I fucked up.
When you knew better.
I don't deserve anything for this. Except
you deserve a deduction.
But I was thankful we set up the TV in the garage to work out with the event on, because the equipment nearby made this fight more palatable. But then during the later fights, I just sat there on the foam roller, and would mix in a set during the round break. It was beautiful.
All right. Your boy lives on, and he's one of those cases where I want someone to win based solely on their nickname.
Correct.
Not that I don't like him, whatever. Just it's a nickname. We used to laugh about it a while back. I like it. And you're going to have Lauren Murphy versus Valentina, probably 5 straight wins. We'll see. And it's no coincidence Sadiq Youssef and Hakeem Dawodu both lose this year, because they are the same guy.
Yeah, no shit, man.
I love it. And this Evloev, another Russian grappling machine, 5-0 at featherweight. He goes for takedowns and he gets them.
Yeah, and I support that. I don't care if you attempt 50 takedowns if you secure 15 of them.
Yeah.
Like, it's just this. First of all, it's not exciting if you're there, right? And it's not like if someone's a new, and there is some part of learn the sport as well a little bit and kind of educate yourself on what's going on. But at the same time, like, people who come to the sport for the first time, they're not going to come in with a bunch of knowledge about how things work. And if your introduction to the UFC is Muhammad versus Demi and Maya, you're probably done. Unless you have some boys like, listen, man, trust me, there's more to the sport than that. Trust me.
Hopefully you saw Craig versus Jamel Hill.
Right. If you turned it on late or something, or yeah, man, like,
you're thinking I just waste $65 or whatever it costs.
Right. Sometimes like you buy a little bit later. Like Chris and I, we got the event, the one with Weidman in the leg, and we missed the first fight live. I had to go back and watch it on YouTube. I forget who it was, but anyway, that happens sometimes.
3 more performance bonuses and deductions. Number 1, plus $500, Luciana Andrade, for being Luciana Andrade.
She has the standing bonus for the same reason every time she's on a card.
for just
For
breathing
number to bet.
and living. For plus $500, Luciana Andrade for continuing to be alive.
Who gets the deduction when she dies?
God.
That's fair.
So
That's fair.
save up, buddy. Plus $100, Megan Olivia's dress. Look good in it. Minus $1,000, whoever did the audio for the post-fight presser. I felt like Dana, it was a damn translate. I had to listen to the translated press conference here. Like he couldn't hear it. And I know he's got that Meniere's, he's got the ear issue or whatever, but no, there was some kind of audio thing going on. So fix that shit.
The captions just say inaudible.
These are pros, man. Get a fucking boombox and aim it at them or something. Be prepared for this.
Listen, this event broke the record for the most decisions on a UFC card with 11. Did you know that? Did you hear that?
No. Is that a bonus? Is that a deduction? What are you giving that or anything?
Yeah, I don't know. See, the thing is with the decision is like, they're not all created equal.
Correct.
Edwards Diaz? Interesting.
I almost wish Maya versus Bilal was 5 rounds.
Oh.
Just so I could hear your passion.
I would have missed the rest of the event. I would have called in sick today. I can't make the pod because I haven't seen the event.
All right. Nate Diaz in his post-fight interview, he was saying something and he couldn't remember the name. He kept saying, daddy drinks. And what I think he was sponsored by was Happy Dad. And this is a hard seltzer that it wasn't out before the event. Okay. And it came out June 14th. But before that, here, let me read you what Happy Seltzer has on their page. And then you just tell me what you think of it. Okay.
I Googled it and I see the guys behind it and I can only imagine what to expect.
Well, let's hear it. We know there are thousands of other hard seltzer brands out there, but here's why Happy Dad is the GOAT of all hard seltzers. It's better tasting, has the perfect amount of carbonation, and it has fucking electrolytes. Most important of all, it isn't in a bullshit skinny can. Like, come on. Why is every hard seltzer in a shitty skinny can?
Yeah. So the dude behind it, I know one of them, but his Instagram either used to be Steve Will Do It. And it's just this dude hammering insane amounts of alcohol in one drink. Like downing a fifth in one drink. So I don't know if he's still doing, if Steve's still doing that, but it was Steve Will Do It. And I followed this guy for a little while. He's still there, man. 2.8 million followers.
So he's just famous for shit I used to do when I was in high school. Damn, man, I almost wish there was a camera, but then I also don't because I'd probably be in jail too.
Thing is, he's ripped too. You would have been the perfect Steve Will Do It, man.
Yeah, well, are you going to blast this guy right now? Because I hope I'm not then.
No, I think he's, I don't want to say genius, but monetizing this ridiculous quote unquote talent is pretty badass.
I love that it says Happy Dad is the GOAT of all seltzers, of all hard seltzers, and it wasn't even out yet. It was set to come out June 14th. That's like, this fucking drink was made for MMA fans. So take it, put a key in the bottom of it, and shotgun this damn thing because it was made for you. And drink it at every UFC event because it has the word GOAT in it that's prematurely used. This is the perfect drink. I should fucking buy some right now. GOAT of all hard seltzers before it even had a fight. But hey, it was preliminarily tasted by the experts who declare the GOAT. So,
and
I like their play on the skinny can to make it like, oh, we promise you're not a basic bitch. You're a man. So here's this can. Put it in a fucking stein. Have it delivered out in a stein.
The skinny can is a little, dainty.
It's like a champagne flute.
I wonder if it's a mimosa, it's different. I support those. But I wonder if I would enjoy this seltzer more because of the can that it's in.
I'll try it. It might be good. There's very few drinks I dislike. There's just some I like more than others. I'll drink them. I'll down them.
It's filtered by limestone.
Limestone?
The electrolytes is actually a pretty smart idea.
You got to put the hot items in there. You got to throw the buzzwords. You got to throw other shit. I don't even want to go down this road.
Well, let's just real quick, like if you're outside in the summer and you're sweating, you are losing salt.
Correct.
You need to replenish it.
People don't like hearing salt though.
I know, blood pressure.
It's not going to sell.
Blood pressure.
Nope, no salt.
So one more thing on Steve will do it. He looks like a Gronkowski brother.
It's like these Nelk brothers or something.
That's the tandem they created. I don't know who the other guy is. Never heard of him.
Yeah, I don't know. They might be all right.
It's whatever their brain is.
It's smart. They're making a seltzer for guys. That's a smart move.
They're doing pranks. Yeah, man.
So, do you want to talk about this week's event?
Yeah.
Let's look it up really quick and get our thoughts on it, and then you go to your customizable portion.
Well, I have a James does a Psycho Paul.
So we got Korean Zombie versus Dan Ige.
All right.
That's a good, especially for post. I usually don't like events when they are post numbered events. Your numbered event post coital, but if you're going to have one, Korean Zombie trying to come off that loss, Ige coming back, getting that win over my man Gavin Tucker, who I thought Dan Ige was too quick, too soon for him. So I'm not sure I like that. But him getting the win after Calvin Qatar, I'm good with both of them fighting one another. Alexei Olenek, come on, win by Ezekiel. Come on, man.
Matt the Immortal Brown is back.
Versus Diego Sanchez. All right. And
how have I never seen this guy fight named Wellington? Why does his name ring a bell to me? His name's Wellington.
That's a good name.
How have I not come across this yet? Josh Parisian? Is that what's it? Caro? Yeah, Caro's son?
Wait, where am I seeing that? I'm not seeing this name.
Undercard, heavyweight.
It's probably his son. Okay, let's move on to your customizable portion.
All right, so a little bit of context here. We moved to the South Carolina, near Greenville, and we bought a home in a newer development, and at least in this area, they build everything on clay, like hard, dense, red clay. Okay. Like you drive through some subdivisions, everything's red. Sides of houses are red. Streets are red. It's fucking crazy, man. Like there's literally clay everywhere. Okay. So they laid sod down, and it's June now. So I'm sure in Michigan, grass is pretty green. Like that's what happens. It warms up. There's rain. The grass turns green. So my grass never turned green. And actually the entire subdivision it's not very green either. Like the yards are all shit. So my cycle, Paul, is, and I'm still in the middle of it, but it's my journey to green my grass.
Okay.
Now, do you know what lawn aeration is?
Yes.
Okay. So first we rent me and a couple neighbors, we rent a lawn aerator. We go pick it up and we all chip in and we spend a few hours aerating our lawn. Okay. Then my neighbor went psycho, Paul, too, as well, but forget her for now. Did you know you could collect a sample of your soil, send it in to get a lab analysis so you can get the chemical breakdown of it so you know exactly what chemicals to add to your soil?
I'm not sure I knew that, but I feel like I knew that you could send in something, but I wasn't sure the extent of what they would test.
So,
but I like what's happening right now, though.
It's part of a federal grant or a program, and every state should have what's called like an extension office. So ours is run by Clemson University, but the idea is these extension offices are there to improve the residents' quality of life. So like you can call them, you can ask food safety questions and whatnot. So I get back the results and they tell you how much phosphorus is in there, potassium, calcium, magnesium, zinc, manganese, boron, copper, sodium, sulfur. So I get like this breakdown of how much of each of these elements is in my lawn. And then
how much did it cost?
$6.
And did they provide you with a vessel to put it in?
Well, I put it into containers and I got there and they have like, you drive in there and they have paper bags and you put it into a paper bag and they send it in for you.
Okay.
Huh. So then they go one step further too, man. At the bottom of my thing, they have, so when growth begins in the spring, broadcast 3 pounds triple superphosphate, and they give you the element 0460 and 3 pounds of 3400 per 1,000 square feet. Like they break it down, how much you put down of this element based on square footage. So I went out there with the fucking tape measure and I measured every square inch of my lawn. Okay. So then I'm calling around to feed and seed places. I'm trying to hunt. Have you ever heard of like fertilizers called 0460? Like,
I didn't know that.
No. So like, and each number means something and I forgot, but one of them is nitrogen, one's phosphorus, and one is potassium. So 0460 is no nitrogen, 46% phosphate, 0% potassium. And then
I didn't realize potassium. I knew that phosphorus and nitrogen had something to do with it.
Okay, so I measure every square inch. I'm calling feed and seeds. And actually, my afternoon today is trying to find this last bag of this thing that I can't find anywhere. I may have to drive fucking hours to find. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So then I have to buy 50-pound bags because it's just cheaper. Like to buy 3-4 pound bags costs more than buying one 50-pound bag.
This is perfect that you just happen to have to buy a lot of fertilizer for your lawn until you blow up some federal building and you came from Michigan. This is ironic, huh? Am I already accomplice to this?
Like, you ever hear the phrase like,
you're on a list already.
You ever hear the phrase that's called like you're blowing a dog whistle? Like you're speaking in code to try to attract people of like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm not doing that. So okay, my front lawn was 855 square feet. So I'm out there, I'm do the calculations and I'm using a food scale and I'm weighing out the precise amount of triple superphosphate that I need for my front lawn. Then I broadcast it in a spreader, come back, use the food scale, backyard's like 1,300 square feet. So then I put in precisely 3.9 pounds of 0.40 and then I broadcast that. So now I did that on Monday. Today's Wednesday, and in 8 weeks I repeat the process with one of them. But I don't know. I thought you would appreciate the cycle Paul to make my lawn look greener. And then I also, like, you can call a number and they'll walk you through stuff and answer your questions. So I can't use this breakdown next year for my lawn. I have to, because like I'm adding stuff to it so it changes, right? So I have to do a new soil sample in February, get that sent in, and then once May arrives, begin the process all over again. So that is my psycho Paul moment to try to improve the greenery of my lawn.
So what was your lawn lacking?
Well, phosphate. My lawn is lacking phosphorus, magnesium, zinc. It's actually okay in magnesium and manganese, but it's lacking zinc, magnesium, and phosphorus. And then it says, so the next step, if I choose to do it, but if boron, manganese, or zinc is low, you use a leaf analysis to confirm deficiency.
Okay.
So I don't know if I pluck a leaf. I haven't gone this far yet. I'm going to see how my lawn does with this first stuff. And then I'll go from there. But I'm on a fucking mission now to have the greenest, most lush lawn in the neighborhood.
From what it sounds like, your lawn is lacking a lot of electrolytes. And I know this drink that you could buy and probably pour on that lawn. You might have to burn off the alcohol, unless alcohol helps a lawn, but you should probably check what's in a happy dad hard seltzer. I wonder if it has some of the same ingredients.
I probably will do that.
Or you'll just drink it while you're on the lawn and just whatever happens to spill from the shotgunning process.
Let me ask you, what's the better name? We got Happy Dad Hard Seltzer, and down here there's a burger joint called Bad Daddy's Burgers. Which name do you prefer, Happy Dad or Bad Daddy's?
Since I don't know what I am, but Bad Daddy is pulling on my heartstrings. So yeah, but I'm definitely not going in there alone. I'm going in there. I was talking to somebody when you're at Great Wolf Lodge and I'm there with the kids and I'm like, yeah, let's get under this bucket and everything. But when the kids ghost your ass and go down the slide and you're there in the play structure, you're like, I got to get out of here. Or I'm going to be on the sex offenders list.
100%.
I feel totally, I got to find the slide and get the fuck out of here real quick.
100%. When we were living in Jersey, a friend of ours was talking about going there with the kids, and Chris and I were like, we can't go there.
Oh, I remember us talking about this.
I'm not going there. One thing on Bad Daddy's, I think you'll like this, is they have alcoholic shakes, spiked shakes, like ice cream shakes that are spiked with alcohol.
Okay.
There's another place that has them here too as well. Pretty tasty, man. Surprisingly, like I like my booze usually separate from my dessert, but as like a novelty, mix it in here and there for fun.
My thing is,
I'm okay with it.
I'm one or the other. I'm usually alcohol or dessert.
Don't put a fucking strawberry on my dessert or a blueberry.
No, yeah, and I agree with that. Now, how does Ride or Die Kristen feel about this? When she looks over, she sees you're really into it. Is she like, oh, this is good? Oh, it's keeping him busy? Or she knows he's got that look in his eye? Because I have a Psycho Paul eye too, where you're like, she can't argue with him right now. He's in too deep. Does she look at that like, I'll pick and choose my battles. He wants this lawn thing.
Well, she claims she loves it. So
Ride
I
or
was out
die.
like, so I bought the stuff on Monday. I go out there and here's Psycho Paul as well. I forgot about this part of the story, but I'm like, there are some like larger weeds mingled throughout the yard. And I'm like, if I add this fertilizer now, it's going to feed the weeds. So I'm like, let me just go out and pull out a few of the bigger ones. And I got a hand. I'm like, you know what? I go grab this a styrofoam cooler out of the garage, and I'm like, I was on my fucking hands and knees, dripping sweat, like sweating profusely, dripping, drenched. I filled up that entire cooler full of weeds, crawling around on my hands and knees in the backyard, pulling out some of the larger weeds.
What was she doing?
Well, she took a photo of me and sent it to somebody and then added beneath it the emoji with heart eyeballs.
Oh, okay.
So I imply good thing.
Okay. All right.
You know what this is? She's trying to make sure I keep doing this shit, man. This is a positive affirmation.
Oh, fuck yeah. She's manipulative.
Oh,
She's being
babe,
manipulative.
I love you out there just like taking so much pride in her lawn. You're so prideful, so strong out there taking charge. I'm puffing my like, oh man, yeah. And so I guess that's my new passion. When you don't have kids, you find random things that like our neighbors, their retired kids are grown. She went Psycho Paul too, and she ordered 3 yards of compost and raked it into a thin layer across her entire lawn, so the nutrients seep into the soil and promote growth.
When you don't have kids, you get a lot of shit done. And you try new things. You get your grass analyzed. This is the shit when you have no kids.
Yeah.
But it seems like this might not be the end of the lawn thing. This might be a reoccurring series here.
Oh yeah. I will have updates. I may even put a picture on Instagram or some shit.
It's like, so the next step is just finding that 50-pound bag.
So yeah, this if this one, I got 2 soil samples, one for the garden too. Just
okay,
$6 a pop. Yeah, this one is a 15015. So 15% nitrogen, no phosphate, and then 15 of potassium.
This is genius, though. I'm going to tell my dad about this. I need to write this down.
This sounds like something he might want to do, actually.
He'll just call to talk to the guy and interrogate him. Not to tell him he's wrong or anything, just to talk about it or something. I don't know. I'm definitely gonna. I mean, if I'm ever having problems, I'm gonna remember this.
It looks like your office is in Wayne County. It's an MSU extension from Michigan State.
That's what I get. That's what I was guessing it was going to be, because they have. I feel like they have their own agriculture thing, and there's a lot of farmland out there. And this is Well, I like this.
If Big Paul gets a soil sample, I'm looking forward to that customizable portion. I may have to call him and talk about some soil stuff.
I go by there this weekend. I'm gonna remember to mention, and I'll just see what he says. And by that time, maybe we'll have a new little something from you.
It's Father's Day. You could do the sample for him as a Father's Day gift.
Interesting. Let me write that down. That's good, because I'm always looking for a Father's Day gift.
And talk about unique.
I could just say here, because he likes his lawn. He loves it.
Listen, man, I already found the link for you, dude. The MSU soil sample. Boom. I'm going to send this link to you right now.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. That's all I got.
Let's get the fuck out of here.